Hello, everyone. So good afternoon. Thank you for joining the OPAT Commission for a public meeting today. My name is Stephanie Everett. I'm the Executive Director of the Office of Police Accountability and Transparency. This meeting is open to the public and is being recorded. And so before we start, there are some housekeeping matters I wanted to go over. So all members of the public, you do have your cameras off. And so you know that we do have Zoom's auto captioning on. So each person will need to opt in order to see these captions. So you can select live transcript. It should be a button on the toolbar at the bottom of your Zoom screen to see these captions. And if you can't see anything or you need help, please go into the chat function and someone from my staff will assist you in helping you get through this. And if you're having any issues with your audio, please do the same thing. Go into the chat and someone from the OPAT staff will assist you today. And as always, we will post this video on our boston.gov/OPAT for people to view it later on. We do try to make sure we are just as transparent as we are trying to have others be. So I do want to acknowledge my other commissioners who are in the room with me today. So our OPAT commission is made up of myself, the Executive Director of OPAT, as well as the Honorable Leslie Harris, who chairs the Internal Affairs Oversight Panel. Welcome and thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And Peter Harris, who's the chair of the Civilian Review Board, who we commonly refer to as CRB.
Hey.
That's Peter Alvarez.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. What did I say?
Wait, you said Harris. I'm related to the judge now.
You're related to the judge. Listen, we're all aspiring to be you. We're all aspiring to be you. We're looking for that honorable. I apologize, Alvarez. How are you both doing today?
We're both fine. Thank you.
Great. So I appreciate you both again for being here today. So we have a short agenda today. We are going to be discussing really the open meeting law. So if my staff can pull up the chat, I don't see it up, but if anyone else can pull it up for us today, that would be great. To put up the agenda. Is it up? And I'm not seeing it. Ben, is it?
Yep. We are just having a bit of a delay in putting that up.
Okay, that's fine. But I could just tell you it's two items on here. So the two items that we're going to be dealing with today are the open meeting law, and then we're going to adjourn. So what I've asked my fellow commissioners to come in for today is, as you may have known, we did have the open meeting law that allowed for us to, as we are doing right now, have our public meetings be in this virtual space, remote participation of not only the board members, but also of our public. It allows for us to have participation and vote on matters in remotely. That it was an executive order or a law that was signed by the governor. It ended on July 15th. And prior to that ending, we did have a board meeting that was supposed to happen today that we've pushed back some, but when it ended, it was supposed to be that we would have to have everybody come in, and we do have the space here at the office to be in person. Now with the new, you can go to the next slide. With the new change, it did get extended. So now the extension, I believe, is until March 31st, 2023. So what this means is that we can continue to hold these meetings. So this is the language that is currently signed by the governor this past weekend, July 16th. So again, we can still continue to have our meetings in this space of on Zoom. It does allow for members of both the Civilian Review Board, ourselves, the OPAT Commission, as well as the IOP Board to participate and vote on matters remotely, and or we can just choose to have the meetings in person. It does also say that we need to provide adequate alternate access to remote meetings. So it doesn't change anything else about the open meeting law. So I know there's a lot of conversations about the hybrid conversation, and there's bills that are still pending about that. So the adequate alternate access is something I really wanted to focus on, because we do have some challenges. You can get rid of this screen for a second and just go back to the members for now. What I wanted to focus on in a conversation with you all today is there's some challenges of having our meetings be remote as we've moved away from the trainings that we were doing, having conversations about how we were going to hold our meetings and carry ourselves in the meetings. And I know we had a couple of those. As you know, the ordinance requires that OPAT staff be the keeper of all BPD files. And that it also says that we can't duplicate files, which means when we've had these conversations that we are going to treat it more similar to what we do as attorneys, where we can make copies, we can present it to you at the executive session portion of any public meeting, and you're allowed to look at them, and then we would collect that information back. And then that's it. What we talked about in our office is the possibility of how would we deal with this if we were to do anything that is hybrid, where we would not be able to share any documents to any members that would decide they wanted to participate remotely, because we can't send it to them remotely. We are required by ordinance to the staff to create summaries for both CRB and IUP of any investigations or review. In the case of CRB, when we are looking at new cases, we will provide a summary of that case. In IUP, it's a review of an IAD decision, so we'll do a summary of the review of the files. But if you're remote, you won't have a full picture of everything because you won't have the file in front of you, because we cannot share it with you. So what I wanted to have a discussion with both of you on today was internally what we're thinking is that both these meetings need to happen in person. We need to have a conversation about public participation, but for members themselves, that the members themselves need to be in person in order to fully participate in their duties as members.
Just,
Go on.
so just wanted to get, so the August CRB meeting, what's being proposed here is to, because I think in the last one we had mentioned to members like that would likely be remote at the CRB meeting. And I just want to make sure I'm understanding that we would prefer, or what we're proposing here is to change that to in person, given kind of the difficulties and dynamics of, because if we do go in person and people are remote, it's a little different than this format where the last CRB meeting, everyone was there and things were shared just to CRB members. But if certain number of folks are in person, that dynamic just isn't going to be there, because people aren't going to be all on screen. It's going to be they're participating and they're listening in, and they may get the summary, but they're not going to get the documents that you all have there, which would be a little, it'd just add some. Is that what I'm hearing? I just want to make sure.
Yes. So
Okay.
just to give you a difference of what happened with the last CRB meeting versus the one that's for, upcoming in August. So remember, we talked about for the first CRB meeting, we presented a case that was going to be dismissed.
Yeah.
There were no personnel matters being discussed. We didn't have to go into executive session. The complexity of going into executive session when you have some members in person and some members on a screen, presumably a projector screen, is you all, especially CRB, you are one of my most challenging group to think about, is you have to go into executive session. There's an exception for you to be in executive session because you're talking about personnel matters. Police officers are personnel matters, sworn or civilian, so it would be personnel matters. You'd be looking at the complainant issue, looking at the police officer's history, presumably, depending on what you decide to do. And then you would come out of executive session, which means that you're not closing before you go, you're not closing the public meeting portion before you go into executive session. So public is on the other side of the wall, waiting for you to make a decision. So if you have someone who's trying to come, participate in a conversation, they're going to be louder than the people who are sitting in the room. So you're really not having this secure conversation that you should be having in executive session, where matters that are not for public consumption are actually now being heard by public. And that becomes one of the problems. The other problem is we can't duplicate files. So I can't collect a file that I've sent in an email because I'm not able to send it in an email. So I'm not sure how that's going to work, where we are having someone look at documents and participate fully in a conversation when they haven't been able to fully see the file. If, even if you look at think about body worn camera footage. How are you going to look at body worn camera footage and it's on a screen that you can't fully see? It's, one screen looking at another screen. I don't foresee that being something. And, in all fairness, if you're on the other side of this and you're being, a discipline recommendation is being made to you, against you, wouldn't you want everyone to be in a room to have the same information? Or, I don't want you all to be set up to always be appealed because, 2/3 of the board or less than 2/3 of the board are not getting all the same information. So my recommendation is that all board members be present in order to participate.
And for us as the IOP, since we're a much smaller board, it's much easier because, we can all be there and still be distant from each other. Whereas your board is much larger and a little more difficult.
But I think we could still be, the rooms have, there could be distance. There's 9 of us.
Well, the room, you all haven't seen the new room. I don't know if anyone in the office.
Oh, no, I haven't.
Yeah, so we now have furniture. That's like the big thing I keep telling people, we have furniture. But we do have 2 conference room tables now. So there is possibilities of spreading out more, even if some of the staff has to move out of the way so you all can spread out more. But I think it's just more of the case of just having access to the same information at the same time and being able to make informed decisions without violating any of the rights of any of the officers or civilian personnel that you may be looking at because you don't have all the information, and we're not violating the ordinance by trying to get you information that we can't duplicate.
Just that sounds fine to me. It sounds more efficient and logistically sound. I think it's either remote or in person. I think hybrid does feel like it's a very difficult dynamic. So definitely understood on that. Just as a point for CRB and IOP as well, when the meetings are in person, how does that, is it a transcript instead of the video? I'm just curious as to how, is it filmed or is it going to be transcript based? Because here we're on video because we're remote, but was just curious on how, what OPAT thinks about.
So we're still trying to figure that out because the other part of this conversation is that when we did have the IOP meeting that was scheduled for today, there was a question about us being fully in person versus offering a hybrid or some type of option for the public to participate remotely. It is still something that we're trying to figure out, how do we offer that? Because we are an office of transparency and know that we need to be accessible to others. I'm a big community person. I want to make sure that more people, as many people, can participate in these hearings. You know, a lot of the work that and discussions you all will have will obviously happen in executive session, but there is things that we will do beforehand, from the director's report, things that cases that we did for CRB that can be dismissed prior to you going into executive session. There are things that can happen that the public can possibly participate in. And even though there is no requirement either through the open meeting laws or through our ordinance that the either panel or board has to have dialogue with the community or have comment periods, I know that you all, both of you all as chairs, have taken time to answer some questions that have come up in chats, or, you know, if time permits. OPAT commission is the one where we have to take, you know, give and receive. That's 4 times a year we do that. So just trying to, you know, figure that all out. We've talked about just recording it in Zoom and posting it online so that, because again, you all have to come in. We have a projector, we have all of this stuff. So there is a way that we could possibly just record the public meeting section and then just post it online, so that there is still those 2 options. So you can probably still have someone else do have the transcript and the video still be available online, so that those that can't be in person can still participate, you know, see it and still send us some of their comments. So what we did with the OPAT commission meeting last time is that those who wanted to give us comments, remember we gave like an extra week or so if they wanted to do that. I think that may be something that we should possibly do for board and panel, is post something if we wanted to consider that, and just give people a couple of days if they wanted to add something before we post it up, so that if we wanted to add any comments to it, we could, or just take it and then if you wanted to add it in as part of the beginning part of the next meeting, that we address it prior to going into the other parts of the work. So there's other ways that you can actually make sure people are heard. And if it's something that's immediate, we can find ways to make sure that the staff is actually responding to someone. So I think that there's some creative ways that we can do this and make sure that the community is involved. The concern we have is that we don't have that many staff people that I can't commit to having someone running the Zoom, letting people in, taking comments of that would be the challenge that we have. And I think that's a challenge that a lot of people across the nation will probably face with trying to deal with hybrid, but we are trying to figure out how that works. But obviously we'll be in person. And if we can figure out how we can at least have the Zoom running and post it immediately after. I think we don't take that long to post it immediately after. I think it goes up the same day. Then if we just make it a point that we put it up the same day within the next, you know, the hour or 2 after it happens, then that's something that would make people feel like it's not exactly real time, but it's happening in a period of time that would allow people to respond quickly.
So is OPAC going to do the communication to CRB and I guess IOP as well, in terms of like in-person meeting after we make a determination here, just so that people have heads up?
Yes. So it's not, we don't have to make a reg change or anything of that sort. It's just more of a, this is what's going on in our communication inside of our internally in OPAT staff. I spoke to legal. It's not something we can put it as part of our regs if we want to, like the bigger package, like we said, we're going to do that as the year goes on. But because it's an open meeting law already, we don't have to make a lot. We're just basically just agreeing that we just want the board members to be in person because of the way the ordinance is written, in order to not hinder any of the processes that we have going on. So it's just a decision we have to just make.
I'm in agreement. And I think that makes sense to me.
Same here.
I think if circumstances change and there's different strains and they're more like, you know, obviously it's open to that, but as where things stand, it feels right to me and better.
Great. Judge?
I agree. I want the public to have access to our meetings. I was thinking we'd be in person, they'd be Zoom or some combination like that. I just want to make sure that the public has faith in what we do.
Yes.
So that's my biggest concern.
Yeah, I guess with respect to having meetings, if we're in person, because I understand the logistical challenges, the judge brought something up that would it be open to the public to come in, which I think is fine, but also like noting if there is a spike or so, like just in terms of like the public, like, would we want people to come in given, COVID feels like it's like kind of like increasing again. I mean, the president has it. I mean, like, everybody is catching it all over again. And it just, I just don't know, like in terms of that, and I guess will OPAT be kind of trying to shake that out as well?
So, I mean, by law, we have to, it's a, public building, so they are allowed to come in. We don't have a mask mandate, we have a mask recommendation. So we are bound by that. So we can do mask recommendation, testing recommendation. There's a testing site right across the street at the bowling building. So we will recommend that people get tested, and we actually have testing kits that we give out. It's, I guess, a great time to say that, and the staff can put that in our chat too. We are also a site where you can pick up testing kits because we are in the heart of Nubian Square. We thought it would be perfect for us to give out testing kits here. So we can encourage people to wear their masks. We can encourage people to get tested, and you can get a test from us. You are separated from public though, because of the fact that we need to put you into executive session. If you remember, there's a divider between our conference room. So public is on one side of the conference room and you are on the other side of the conference room. There's been a lot of changes in here. You all need to stop by. So there's actually a different door that they enter than you, they exit through, so it's totally different. So there is a separation that once you go into executive session, we will have to close out the conference room. So because we are going to close out the wall that separates for the executive session to begin, we will be separating you out just a little bit more. The staff, the way the conference tables are set up, they're kind of like in a T. So the staff is at the T, and the exec and all the board members are here. So it's the board members, the staff, and then behind us is the public. And right behind us is the staff, is where the closing of the conference rooms, the split is at. So there is separation between everyone.
I will be stopping by to see.
Please do.
And I was thinking I would love to attend one of Peter's meetings so that I can see what happens, so that
you
you get a
definitely
full
should.
view
Yes.
of the process. So I plan to do both.
Please do.
August 9th.
Yes.
Thank you. What time?
11.
11.
All the meetings start at 11. Oh, well, that's we do have to send out a meeting now and to let everybody know that it's going to be in person. So that could change some. So we will, as your meeting has changed, so we're going to change, we will have to adjust some, and we're fine with that in our office, adjusting, because we do know that now things are in person. That could change calendars for some people. So I will send out an update, and I'll let you know, Judge, when their meeting is in August. But I think that's your next one is not till November after that. So we'll send out the next meeting updates for when they are, and they will be here, but you definitely should come and see our new office.
Yes,
Well, it's
ma'am.
not new, it just has furniture since you all been here. And those in public have no idea what you're talking about, but we have furniture now. the board members were here when we first got the keys in March, and there was no furniture. So now there's furniture.
Okay.
Sounds great. We do have a hand raised, and I'm going to ask Paige that you put your comments in the chat, because we weren't really going to do comments today. We really were just going to try to stick to doing this conversation about just deciding this so we can get this information out to the board members while we can. Yep, that's fine. You can do both. So I will, so again, I will send out what I'll do, and I'll have Ben do this afternoon for both the IOP board and the IOP panel and the CRB, is send out the remaining dates for 2022, because we only did dates up until 2022. We didn't do dates for 2023. And just confirm that they're in person, because I want to make sure everybody knew that, you know, they have to be here now physically. And if there's any changes, we'll work through those changes and then get some updated dates if we need to get updated dates. Otherwise, they'll stick to what they know. And then what we'll probably do is maybe we'll just send out the dates so every board member knows when all the board meetings are happening across. I know that we did it during the training. We let you know the months that they were going to be in, but we didn't share the exact dates of each board. So we'll share the dates so that every board member knows when each board member is having. We're the only ones. And then we also have the next OPAT commission meeting set for September 21st, I believe. So we'll include that too.
Okay.
So we'll do that, and let me get to the question from Paige. So yes and no, Paige. So we haven't decided on that yet, Paige. So right now you can participate in person. We just don't have the staffing to really create a hybrid schedule. So we will have a Zoom presumably going so that we can record all meetings no matter what's going on. And so it's not going to be just it's in person and then you have to just see a transcript of what we've done. It will be that there will be a recording that's going on. The concern with lack of staffing to have someone be on Zoom to make sure that we have someone who can let you into the room, deal with technology, and be able to answer your chat, and have people present physically present inside of the room, and having community members who may have questions too. We don't have a lot of staffing to do all of that. So we need to figure that out. So one of the alternatives that I am trying to figure out if we can do is to actually post this a Zoom immediately after it happens. The way that the board meetings will work is we will do, just off the top of my head, the opening Hive introductions, and then the acceptance of the meeting minutes from the meetings before, my director's report, any other businesses that may happen that the board members want to bring up. And sometimes we have cases that fall outside the purview of our office or of that board or some sort. And so we'll do that. And then they go into executive session. They, meaning the IOP board or the CRB. The IOP board, when they go into executive session, the meeting closes, the public meeting closes and it's done. They don't come out of executive session. So the meeting's over as soon as they go into executive session. So as soon as they go into executive session, that meeting, we can actually just post the Zoom. And so if there's any questions or comments from that, then you can respond in email, call, or something. So that's one way of doing it, but CRB is different because CRB actually has to vote in a roll call type of fashion on any decisions that they make. So when they go into executive session, Zoom will just be paused until they come out of executive session, because executive session would not be recorded because that's not something that's recorded. So we just have to figure that out. But again, there may be a situation where we would just post part one of the CRB on while they're in executive session, and it may give us time to answer questions why the members are in executive session. So we're really just trying to figure it out in a way that we are being transparent. It does allow you to participate, but we can't really guarantee how we're going to do this in a hybrid way without staffing to do this. So we're still working it out. I understand that. Yeah, so we don't have, I agree that we should have community input, but that's what the OPAT commission meetings are for. The IOP meeting and the IOP meetings and the CRB meetings are not meetings where community input and questions and comments come in. The OPAT commission meetings, which happen 4 times a year, and actually they're happening more than that. I think this is probably our 5th or 6th meeting of the year. This is where the community meetings come in, the comments come in. This is exactly what the OPAT commission meeting is for. The CRB meetings, which we're talking about, and it's IOP meetings, which you're focusing on today, those are the meetings where that won't happen. For the OPAT commission meetings, I'm pretty sure we will have to figure out the IOP. We definitely have to figure out the hybrid for the OPAT commission meetings, because that's what it's for.
And just to clarify, the OPAT meetings that are public, like that are the community meetings, are the ones where there is public comment. This one in particular was more of a logistical, like this is a meeting to get us synced up, partly because of public meeting laws make it difficult for the 3 commissioners, even 2 of us, to communicate without having a meeting. So just want to clarify there. And also just another point of clarity for CRB and IOP, just recall all board members get paid while they're there. That's not the case for commission meetings. So preserving public resources, we don't want the public to have to pay for people to comment. And that's why we reserve one meeting in particular, the community meeting with OPAT that happens at least 4 times a year, that is open to public comment, and there is no public resources in terms of like hourly going into it. So, you know, just thinking of the balance of equities there in terms of how that works out. I just want to point that out for anyone who listens, and you know, just wanted to point that out.
So yeah, we're very strategic in how we do community. We will put community meeting versus a public meeting. Thank you, Commissioner. I think that's all I had in chat. So just to wrap up, because again, I will have my staff send out the remaining meetings to make sure that everyone can, all the board members can meet on the times that we had already designated for the remaining of 2022. Once we get that all confirmed, I will send it out to the entire group so that everyone is on board to know when everyone is meeting, in case there is some participation on either side of wanting to be in these meetings. I will figure out a hybrid. I definitely will talk to my staff, but we are definitely going to have to do a hybrid for our OPAT community meetings, because it does require input and output from the community. And again, we are working on how we're going to deal with the if there is any community response that we can possibly get from the CRB and IOP meetings. We will figure that out as well separately, but just know that we are working on it and we are committed to trying to figure that out. Commissioner Alvarez.
Yeah, Commissioner, I just had one item that's related on just the open meeting law and just finding ways. And I don't know if you've talked to legal on how you and I or you and Judge can communicate on logistical things. You know, I know it's difficult, but like, you know, it is really difficult. Sometimes it's something very simple and it's very hard to communicate on a logistical item, and just trying to figure that out.
Yes. So what I did is, I'm waiting for an answer. I said the same thing. I need to be able to talk to them without always calling a meeting. And so the answer at first was that you just have to call a meeting and go into executive sessions. But I think a lot of the things that we talk about are actually things that we can talk about in public forum. And some things, you know, lawsuits, of course, we can talk about personnel, we can talk about an executive session. There's a list of exceptions that allow us to talk about an executive session. But I am trying to figure out, there's other things that are going on, trips to deal with trainings and things of that sort where we should all be participating in. And I am trying to figure out how we can get an exception to do that. So that is something I just spoke about on Monday or Tuesday, and I'm waiting for an answer so that, especially for trainings, how we can all be collectively in a space together for multiple hours or multiple days and not violate any open meeting laws.
And just a note on that, like if we were to do it, I'm waiting to hear about that as well, just because I have a slight, like a half commitment that I have to be elsewhere for part of, you know, so want to make sure we, you know, as soon as you find out, let me know, and it may result that like we don't find out by then, and you know, but one of them.
No, I've already said it's a priority. I'm on it. So I apologize. I didn't see this. I should say this, that my staff has told me that I need to be reading out loud the questions and comments that are coming into chat. But I didn't see that. So I apologize. So I was responding to Paige Sparks. The conversation that we were having was in response to, just so that we have this on record before the auto transcription, is that we were having a conversation about whether or not OPAT staff was going to allow for the recording of the meetings and for participation of the community. And I think that's the summary that I can give of that. And Paige Sparks also commented on it being delayed and I 100% agree with how the delay, or just those who are compromised and disabled, what it would look like in order for them not to participate in these meetings. And so we engage in a conversation about what that looks like and some of the challenges and what we're going to try to work on. And again, the difference between the public meetings of OPAT Commission versus the community meetings, and community meetings are mandated by the ordinance versus public meetings, which we are calling when we do need to get together as 3 commissioners to not violate open meeting laws, to have dialogues, to move certain things that are going on in with OPAT staff forward so we can get the work done on all 3 boards. Okay, so I appreciate again my 2 commissioners joining me as we try to move this work forward. We are hopeful that everyone is available to be in public next month for the CRB meeting. We have also moved our IOP meeting that was scheduled originally for today to next month. And I believe that is August 17th.
17th.
Yes, August 17th is the Internal Affairs Oversight Panel that will be in person at 1:30 here at 2201 Washington Street in Roxbury. We will make the recording publicly available. Again, when IOP goes into executive session, their meeting publicly closes immediately. So as soon as I'm done with my executive director's report and any other business that may come out from the board members, they go into executive session and the public meeting portion of it is closed. So if you are in person, the meeting will close and public will leave the building, and the only ones that will remain will be the members of the IOP panel, and that recording will go online. Thank you. And I will hopefully, on August 9th, we will hopefully still be able to have our meeting with the Civilian Review Board. So I look forward to seeing you all soon in the next 2-3 weeks, and enjoy the summer, and please stay cool, drink lots of water and sunscreen and shade.
Thank you.
All right,
Good
take
to see
care.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.